All right, listeners, buckle up because today we are diving deep into one of tennis's most legendary rivalries. Martina Navratilova versus Chris Evert.
Oh yeah, this one's a classic.
You guys sent in some fantastic articles and we are ready to unpack it all.
Seriously, some great stuff.
Figure out what made their matches so iconic and memorable.
You give us the puzzle
I'll
pieces.
put it all together for you.
No, what's so interesting about these two is that they weren't just stars who happened to play at the same time.
Right.
These two were forces of nature
Completely.
who dominated women's tennis for over a decade.
For sure, the late 70s all the way through the late 80s,
More than a decade.
they racked up a combined
Right.
36 Grand Slam singles titles.
It's unbelievable.
That's 18 each.
18 each.
A perfect tie.
You can't make that up.
I know, and here's another stat that just blows my mind.
All right, lay it on me.
For almost 12 straight years,
Wow.
the world #1 ranking belonged to either Navratilova or Evert.
Constantly battling it out.
Yeah, it's like they were playing this high-stakes game of tennis ping pong at the very top of the rankings.
Exactly.
But here's the thing that always gets me.
What's that?
Their playing styles were so different.
Oh yeah, totally different approaches to the game.
Navratilova was like this whirlwind on the court.
Yeah.
All power and aggression.
Pure athleticism.
The queen of serve-and-volley.
Serve-and-volley.
Always attacking, pushing the pace.
Dictating the points.
And then you have Evert,
Maestro.
a master of precision.
So smooth.
Yeah.
Incredible footwork.
Those laser-like ground strokes.
Wearing opponents down from the baseline.
It was like she was playing chess out there.
Strategic.
So fascinating to watch these two styles clash.
That's what makes this rivalry so compelling, right?
Absolutely. And it wasn't just about how they hit the ball.
Right.
Their personalities were total opposites, too.
Polar opposites.
Navratilova was super expressive on the court.
You knew what she was feeling.
All her emotions right there on her sleeve.
And then you have Evert.
The ice princess.
So cool and collected.
Totally unflappable under pressure.
But don't be fooled by that nickname.
Oh, I know she was a fierce competitor.
Oh yeah, just as much as Navratilova.
But she channeled it differently.
Internally.
Yeah, I think that's a key part of their rivalry.
Totally.
It wasn't just physical.
Oh,
It was mental toughness.
outthinking your opponent.
A clash of styles and personalities.
Absolutely a fascinating dynamic.
Okay, so we've got these two contrasting figures.
Yeah.
Two totally different ways of playing the game.
Battling for tennis supremacy.
What does that look like in terms of their head-to-head record?
Well, overall, Navratilova had a slight edge.
Okay.
She won 43 matches to Evert's 37.
23-37.
But you know, like any good rivalry,
Right.
it's way more nuanced than just the win-loss record.
I mean, those finals
Yeah.
tell a completely different story.
Tell me about it.
When the stakes were highest,
When it really mattered.
Navratilova really stepped up.
Clutch performer.
She won 10 out of the 14 finals they played against each other.
Wow, that's a big difference.
Right. It really shows you her ability to thrive under pressure.
Or maybe her style just threw Evert off in those big moments.
An aggressive serve and volley.
Yeah, maybe Evert just couldn't find a rhythm.
Interesting. So it's like she could turn up the heat even more when it mattered most.
Exactly.
But it wasn't just about mental toughness, right?
Right.
We got to factor in the surfaces they were playing on.
The surfaces are huge.
Navratilova's game
Oh, yeah.
was perfect for fast surfaces like grass.
Like we see at Wimbledon.
Wimbledon. She won a record 9 singles titles there,
Wimbledon was her kingdom.
basically.
Yeah.
And then you have Evert, the queen of clay.
Oh, yeah.
Her baseline game was a force on those slower clay courts,
Especially at the French Open.
where she won 7 of her Grand Slams.
7. It's incredible.
Her patience and precision on clay were phenomenal.
Unmatched.
She could control the pace of the rallies
Dedicate the points.
and really force Navratilova out of her comfort zone.
Out of her element.
So it's like they each had their own territory
Their own domain.
where they truly excel.
But they also pushed each other to adapt.
Right.
To improve on surfaces that didn't necessarily play to their strengths.
And that's what makes their rivalry so fascinating.
They were constantly evolving.
Always pushing the boundaries.
Exactly.
And speaking of pushing boundaries,
Let's talk about it.
there's one thing about Navratilova's game that really changed women's tennis.
Yeah.
Her fitness.
Her dedication to fitness was revolutionary.
Back then, weight training and cross training.
It just wasn't common in women's tennis.
But Navratilova saw the potential.
Visionary.
She embraced a holistic approach to training.
Yeah.
And it paid off.
It definitely paid off.
Her athleticism and stamina were off the charts.
Next level.
And that had a huge impact on the game.
It did.
Didn't it?
It set a new standard for fitness and athleticism.
And paved the way for the power game we see in women's tennis today. Navratilova's commitment to physical conditioning helped elevate the entire sport
to a whole new level.
So we've got this incredible contrast of styles.
Yeah.
This back and forth in their head-to-head.
So close.
And this underlying respect for each other's game.
It's really cool.
Now, I know you, our listener, are probably waiting to hear about those epic matches.
Oh, yeah, those classic matches.
Those moments that defined this rivalry.
We're getting there.
And trust me, we're going to get to them.
Don't worry.
But first, I want to ask you this.
Okay.
Knowing what we know now.
About their personalities.
Their strengths, their weaknesses.
Yeah.
Who do you think had the tougher mental game?
Who had the edge when the pressure was on?
Just something to think about as we dive into those memorable moments
It should be good.
Of this incredible rivalry.
Buckle up. It really is a fascinating question, isn't it?
Who had the tougher mental game?
Yeah, you'd think Evert with that ice princess reputation.
Right. Like her composure was a weapon.
Would be the obvious choice.
Yeah.
But mental toughness isn't just about staying calm.
Okay. Yeah, that's true.
It's also about using those emotions.
Right. Channeling them.
To fuel your performance.
Yeah. So maybe Navratilova, with all that outward emotion,
yeah,
was actually just as mentally tough.
Maybe even more so.
I mean, think about that 1981 Australian Open final.
Oh, yeah, the comeback.
She loses the first set to Evert, comes roaring back to win the match.
That takes serious mental strength.
No doubt.
It was a turning point.
In their rivalry.
Yeah, it showed that Navratilova could match Evert mentally.
On the biggest stage.
And let's not forget, Evert had her moments of vulnerability, too.
Okay, really. The ice princess.
Even the ice princess could crack under pressure.
All right, spill the tea. I need to hear about these vulnerable moments.
One example that comes to mind
is
the 1984 Wimbledon final.
Okay.
Navratilova wins in straight sets.
Wow.
And Evert later admitted that the pressure got to her.
That's kind of humanizing, isn't it? I mean, even the greatest athletes feel that pressure. Totally. It just shows how intense their rivalry was.
Oh, yeah, for sure. They pushed each other to the limit.
It's like they brought out the best and sometimes the worst in each other.
Absolutely.
Which makes their story so captivating.
Because it's real, right? It shows that even at the highest level, athletes are still human.
They have doubts and fears.
And they have to find a way to overcome them.
It's almost like they were playing two matches at once.
Oh, yeah.
The one on the court with the rackets and the balls.
Right.
And this inner psychological battle.
And that inner battle was just as important.
Maybe even more important.
Exactly. And I think that's what we need to explore as we look at some of their most memorable matches.
Okay, I'm with you. Let's talk matches.
Because to really understand this rivalry, you have to look beyond the scores.
The mental game, the strategies, the turning points.
I love it.
So instead of just listing off results...
Yeah, let's not do that.
Let's really break them down.
Pick a few.
Yeah, and really get into what made them so unforgettable.
Okay, so I have the perfect match in mind.
Lay it on me.
The 1985 French Open final.
Okay, I've heard of this one.
It's considered one of the greatest women's matches ever.
Really?
And it perfectly sums up their rivalry.
To contrasting styles, the mental toughness.
Yeah, all the drama.
Okay, set the scene for us.
All right, so we're talking French Open final.
The biggest stage for clay court tennis.
Pinnacle of clay.
And Evert was the queen of clay.
6 titles already.
Wow. But going into this match, Navratilova was ranked #1.
She was on a roll.
She had won their last 4 meetings.
Including Wimbledon just a few weeks earlier.
So the question was...
Could Evert reclaim her dominance?
Break Navratilova's streak?
Yeah, the stakes were high.
And did the match live up to the hype?
Oh, it definitely did.
Tell me everything.
It was a back-and-forth battle.
Okay.
Full of amazing shots and momentum swings.
I bet.
Evert takes the first set 6-3.
Okay.
But then Navratilova storms back to win the second 6-4.
All right, so we're going to a third set.
The deciding set.
The tension must have been insane.
Imagine being in the stands.
At Roland Garros.
Watching these two legends go at it.
Goosebumps.
And the third set was just as dramatic.
Oh, I bet.
Evert breaks, serve early to go up 4-2.
Okay.
But Navratilova fights back, ties it up at 4-4.
Back and forth.
Like a heavyweight fight.
Still lands the knockout punch.
Well, in the end, it's Evert.
Oh, wow.
She holds serve to go up 5-4.
Okay.
And then breaks Navratilova again to win the match.
And the championship.
The final score, 6-3, 4-6, 6-3.
Wow, what a match. I can just imagine Evert lifting that trophy.
The crowd going wild.
But even more than the victory itself,
Yeah.
it's those moments of pressure,
Those turning points.
that really define this rivalry.
And that's what makes this match so special.
It had everything.
The clash of styles.
Yeah.
The mental toughness, the ability to adapt.
You saw it all.
Navratilova's power.
Everett's resilience.
Her tactical brilliance.
That's like their whole rivalry distilled into this one epic match.
Exactly. And it wasn't just about the physical skill.
Right. It was about who could handle the pressure better.
Who could outsmart who?
Who could dig deep and win when it mattered most.
And that's where Evert really shined.
She was in her element.
So calm and focused under pressure.
Like the Ice Princess.
Exactly. Even when Navratilova was coming back,
Yeah.
Evert never wavered.
She just stuck to her game plan.
Trusted her instincts and found a way to win.
Amazing.
But I'm sure Navratilova was feeling the pressure too.
Oh, absolutely.
She was the #1 player.
Had beaten Ever before.
This was a chance for her to prove she could win on any surface.
Against anyone.
Yeah.
So even though Evert won this one,
Yeah.
does this change your mind about who had the tougher mental game?
It's tough to say.
Because it sounds like they both were dealing with a ton of pressure.
They were.
Just in different ways.
Yeah, that's the beauty of their rivalry.
Right.
No easy answers.
They were both incredibly tough competitors.
But they approached the mental game differently.
Everett's strength was her composure.
That ability to stay calm and focused.
While Navratilova drew energy from her emotions.
Used her passion to fuel her performance.
And I think that's why their matches were so captivating.
Yeah?
It wasn't just about who had the better forehand or serve.
It was about who could handle the pressure better.
Who could outsmart their opponent.
Who could find a way to win.
When it mattered most.
It was a battle of wills, a clash of personalities.
On the grand stage of tennis.
And the '85 French Open final is the perfect example.
It wasn't just a tennis match. It was a psychological thriller.
A story of resilience.
Determination. The pursuit of excellence.
Exactly.
All right, I'm hooked. I need more.
More matches.
Give me another example that really captures the magic of Navratilova versus Evert.
All right, how about we rewind the clock a bit?
Okay, back in time.
To 1981.
1981.
There's a match that might seem like an outlier,
Okay.
but it really shows the dynamics between these two.
Okay, I'm listening.
We're going to Amelia Island, Florida,
Amelia Island.
for the final of the Mirjani WTA Championships.
Okay, Amelia Island 81.
Now, this one's
Oh,
interesting.
what makes it stand out?
Well, remember how we were just talking about Everett's mental toughness?
The Ice Princess.
Her ability to stay cool under pressure?
Yeah.
Well, in this match, she didn't just win.
Okay.
She dominated.
Dominated.
We're talking straight sets.
Okay, impressive.
But not just any straight sets.
Don't tell me.
A double bagel.
No way she bageled Navratilova.
6-0, 6-0.
Whoa, a double bagel against anyone is huge.
It is.
But against Navratilova,
I know, right?
the queen of serve-and-volley,
The fitness fanatic.
the player who had just won the Australian Open.
It's a statement.
That's a huge statement.
It shows that even in a rivalry as close as this one,
Yeah,
there were times when one player just had the other's number.
totally. And in this case, it was Everett's day.
Her baseline game was on fire.
I can imagine.
Everything was working.
I'm trying to picture Navratilova on the other side of the net.
Yeah.
What must that have felt like?
You have to remember, this was still early in their rivalry.
Okay,
They'd been playing each other for a few years,
right.
but Navratilova hadn't peaked yet.
She was still coming into her own.
Yeah, still developing her game.
Her fitness, her mental toughness.
Exactly.
So maybe this loss,
Yeah.
as tough as it was,
Crushing at the time.
actually served as motivation.
Like a wake-up call.
Yeah, a reminder that even when you're at the top,
There's always room to grow.
and it shows how their rivalry worked,
That cyclical nature.
they pushed each other, learned from each other.
Raise the bar.
This match at Amelia Island
Even with that lopsided score.
proves that point.
It's a testament to their rivalry.
Even in a dominant win, there are lessons to be learned.
There's always something to take away.
It's amazing how one match
Even a one-sided one.
can reveal so much.
About the whole rivalry.
You see the strength, the weaknesses,
The moments of brilliance.
and vulnerability.
And with Navratilova and Evert.
You always see the respect,
Yeah,
the drive to be better.
it's really inspiring.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into this rivalry,
Yeah.
what's the one thing you want our listener to remember?
What's the takeaway?
The essence of their story.
I think it's the idea that rivalry,
Yeah.
when it's done right,
Right.
can push you to greatness.
like it did for Navratilova and Evert.
They pushed each other,
Challenged each other.
inspired a whole generation of players.
It wasn't just about winning.
It was about making the sport better.
It's like they were on this parallel journey.
Always pushing each other forward.
And they created something truly special.
A rivalry that went beyond the court.
It's about sportsmanship, resilience, and excellence.
Beautifully put.
So to our listener,
think about the rivalries in your own life.
They might not be on a big stage,
but they can be just as powerful.
Embrace the challenges. Learn from your competitors.
Use those experiences to grow.
Who knows, maybe you'll inspire a generation too.
You never know.
And on that note, we'll wrap up our deep dive into the legendary rivalry of Martina Navratilova and Chris Evert. Thanks for listening.